Hey, okay, I'm back online. I don't know if you guys are still watching. Oh, Carol is there. Brilliant. Okay, so let me close the other windows. Sorry. Laptop is definitely plugged. Hopefully you haven't cooled down too much. All right. So we were talking about the standing sequence, and I guess I will publish this as a separate video. So if you're just starting, maybe practice your 5 sun salutations of A and B, whichever variation you like, based on the previous videos, and then we're introducing the standing sequence. So from the last sun salutation B, we've exhaled back into Samastiti. We're going to inhale and open our feet as wide as our legs, as our hips, sorry. So just checking that the feet are pointing forward, the knees are pointing forward. I'll bring the hands into the hips. And as you bring your hands into the hips, use this to feel the position of your pelvis. So whether your hips are tilted back, maybe try and bring them a little forward. And if you keep your fingers towards the front of the hip bone, you can feel the engagement of the lower belly. And so you can take the first inhale, you open your feet. As you exhale, you bring your hands to your hips. And at the end of the exhale, you can feel the pelvis tilting down, the engagement of the bandhas, and the lower belly coming in. And so what you're doing is then on your next inhale, you hold that lower belly with the front of your fingers. And you lengthen up away from your hips. So it could be a little bit of a back bend if you like it, but it's really about finding that Uddiyana Bandha. So holding the lower belly with your fingers and inhaling, feeling the breath moving into all of the other parts of the upper body. And then as we exhale, we're going to soften the knees and come down and grab our big toes. So I'm going to come forward just to show you. I'm going to take this grip with my fingers. So I'm pointing my index and my middle fingers together, and I'm holding my other 2 fingers, the ring finger and the baby finger, with my thumb. And I'm having this straight line from my arms, my wrist, and my fingers. And when you're coming down, you're going to try and slide your fingers right between your big toe and your second toe, and then wrap them. And you've got the flat second knuckle of your other finger. So actually, the light is here. So you've got those flat second knuckle of the other finger. This is great because I never actually get to go to those details into class, but I think it helps with the practice. So those flat knuckles are on the floor and they're framing your big toe, and you can push back with the big toe into the arm. There's always, in a lot of the poses, you've got that action of like pushing and drawing back. So there's a constant energy circulation from what goes out, what comes in, and you can link it with your breath. So just to kind of go back into this, I'm exhale into Samastiti. Inhale, open my feet. If you've got loads of energy, loads of balance, you can jump your feet open. And then exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Balance your hips, draw your abdomen in. Inhale, breathe into the whole side, keeping the lower abdomen maintained. Exhale, tilt and come. So you got to bend your knees, especially if your hamstrings are a bit short. And so take that grip. So big finger, 2 fingers sliding between the big toe and the second toe, and wrapping the middle knuckle under the big toe. Toes with your hands, but you're also holding your hand with your big toe, and feel what happens there. And then once the toes are set up at the end of the exhale, we're inhaling and we're coming to a straight back. So this could be quite challenging, and you might have to have like your knees really bent, and it could be quite challenging, but it's good for you. Unless it doesn't feel good, and then you can always take, a hands on your knee approach or hands on your calves until it feels like you're finding space in your body and you can breathe. So the second breath is an inhale to a straight back, and then as the exhale, we remember those fingertips on our belly, and we draw that navel all the way towards the spine as we push the hips towards the ceiling and let the body come towards the legs. But we're trying to get the bend, and it's like, so I've seen doing my videos, my upper back is really rounding and there's not as much opening into my lumbar spine, into my hips as I'd like it to be. But it's okay, it's work in progress. So I'm trying to really close that angle between my lower spine and my thighs. I'm trying to rotate my pelvis around the top of my thigh bones. And I'm reaching down with my heart towards the center of my knees. And my head then is, you could bring it towards your knees, but if I bring my head towards my knee, then I'm really rounding my upper back. So, and I feel that brings compression into my neck, so it doesn't feel that good. So I'm going to let the crown of my head come towards the floor, and I'm going to keep that Jaladhara Bandha, so my chin to my throat, and the back of my neck long. My elbows, I'm going to try and keep that line from my second knuckle until the back of my hand, and then I'm going to let my elbows come out to the side, there's space for them to breathe. And so we stay here 5 breaths. I'm just going through all of the details about those poses, and then we'll come back and we'll do it in a flow. And then as I inhale, I'm going to come back and lengthen again. And maybe that's enough for your, I'm going to come here so let's see better. Sorry, I could have thought about that before. So maybe that's enough for your hamstrings. Feel free to take Samasthiti and watch if it's too much. Now I've inhaled, I've come back to my straight back. As I exhale, I'm taking my hands and I'm sliding them. So I'm going to come up onto my heels and I'm going to bring my toes into the crease of my wrist. And so you're going to be careful about your wrist here. You want to, be careful about your balance. But this is a good counter stretch after all the downward dog we've done, all the planking where the wrist is, bent this way. Now we're coming to bend the wrist this way, and this could be a lot. So be careful. But it grows to feel really nice, actually, that connection between the soles of the feet and the soles of the hands. So you might let a little weight come into the base of your toes, but you still have that toes pointing forward, fingers pointing back, knees pointing forward. Inhaling again, we'll lengthen that spine. So really get to as much length as we can from the bottom of the spine into the sacrum to the top of the spine, the top of your neck. And then exhale, fold forward. So because your hands are stuck, you're still going to have, your knees quite bent. And you're trying to just lengthen. And we stay here 5 breaths. And then we inhale. We come back to a straight back. As we exhale, we release the feet. Connect the hands to the lower abdomen. And inhale again. We're pressing, holding that lower abdomen. So we feel we can inhale all the way except in the lower abdomen. And exhale, we come back to Samasthiti, where we'll bring the feet together. Right, so let's do this in a flow. So I'm coming back from my sun salutation B. I've exhaled into Samasthiti. Now I'm going to inhale, open my feet as well as my hips. I'm going to do it here because I think you see better. Sorry, start again. Exhale into Samasthiti. Inhale, open your feet. Bring your hands. Exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, strong Uddiyana Bandha. Exhale, fold forward. Grab your big toe. Inhale, come to a straight back. And exhale, fold over your legs. Shoulders are relaxed. 5 breaths. 2, 3. Your drishti is the tip of your nose. So basically, just let the awareness come to the front of your face and focus on letting your hips move towards the ceiling. and 5. So we exhale here. Inhale, come back to a straight back. Exhale, change your hands, stepping onto the hands. And inhale, lengthening forward. Exhaling, falling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, bring your hands back into your hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale back to Samastiti. And now we're going to take a vinyasa, come back to the floor, and move on to the finishing sequence. So inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, step back into plank. Inhale into upward dog. Exhale into downward dog. And bending your knees, coming to sitting, coming down to lying on your back. So we're going to take 3 versions of the Urdhva Danurasana. The bridge pose, wheel pose, or bridge pose. We've done bridge pose so far because it's a good introduction. So feet behind your hips. Let's take whichever option you remember that you liked, or we'll do this 3 times. So feel free to, progressively move to the options. So we exhale, drop the lower back into the floor, lift the tailbone, inhale, reach the hips up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, release. Take a breath in the center. Exhale, tilt the pelvis, lift the tailbone, lower back down. Inhale, reach up. 5 more breaths, whichever option you pick from the second video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, release. 1 breath down. Exhale, lower back down till the pelvis. Inhale, lift up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, release. Breathe in the center. Exhale, bring your knees to your chest. You can roll your lower back gently if you need to. And tuck your chin to your chest. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 rolls to come back to sitting. Come and sit. Straight legs, straight back. Inhale, lengthen here. Exhale, fold over your legs. Grab whichever part of your feet or leg that you can reach. Inhale, straight back, straight legs, straight arms, legs standing. Exhale, fold. We'll stay 10 breaths here. 1, 2, inhale to lengthen the spine. 3, exhale to soften the hips. 4, 5, your drishti, your point of focus is your big toes. 6, release the shoulders. 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, come back to Samasthiti. Or sorry, to Dandasana. Dandasana, I will come to it when we move into the sitting sequence, but Dandasana is basically your Samasthiti in the sitting sequence. So straight legs, and you're rooting down through the sit bones. Spine is up, hands are relaxed by your sides. Now, the next pose we're going to introduce here is Sarvangasana, the shoulder stand. So you want to be careful. Shoulder stand in the English name is called shoulder stand. It's not called neck stand. So this is something where, like, we will find at the start that it could put a lot of pressure into the knees. You can bring a blanket to support, so not too wide, but you could bring that under your shoulders if it helped. Now, I have been practicing without props just because I like the practicality of needing nothing but my body to practice yoga, but if you need it, then feel free to use it. So for Sarvangasana, I'm starting lying on my back. I keep my shoulders already the top of my arms reaching down for the floor and my hands connected to the floor. I engage the Jalandhara Bandha, which means I lengthen my neck, already drawing the back of my neck away from me. And to come up, you're going to press your hands into the ground, take a little momentum, and lift the hips up. So keeping the knees quite over the head. And like this could be how you do Sarvangasana at the start. So just lifting the hips up, like legs are wherever they reach for you. And focusing on drawing the shoulder blades into the floor, drawing the arm bones into the floor. So from the top of the arms to the elbows. And then slowly lengthening the hips towards the ceiling. So walking your elbows towards each other will help. And unrolling the legs. And then there's that extension of the spine at your own pace. And be mindful of the weight you put into your neck and your head. So you can come down. And sometimes at the start of your practice, when you're beginning in a, or you might want to do, just practice that roll up. So lying down, hips low, back nice and long. So you just really try and get the back of your head and the back of your hips as far away from each other on the mat as they can be. And you can feel that extension through your spine, through your ribs. Reaching the hands and the arms down onto the floor. If they need to be a little away from you, that's okay. Try and keep them, close to your body. Inhale onto your back. Exhale, draw your knee to your chest, press into your arms, reach your hips up, and bring your hands onto your lower back. So you're pushing the elbows into the floor, you're pushing the weight of the hips back into your back. And you're pushing the shoulders down. And you're trying to find your balance here. Maybe staying up for 2 or 3 breaths. Whichever it is. Don't worry about straightening the legs first. Take it one joint at a time. So thinking about the elbows and the hips and the shoulders. And then Maybe extending the legs. As we extend the legs, we want to raise the hips up, but we keep the weight into the shoulders, into the arms. And the hands might move down towards the ribs rather than the lower back. When we are in shoulder stand, we can really focus on our bandhas and focus on the inversion of our body. We start slowing down the breath. The practice comes to an end. We're going to calm down and try and bring your hands back and control the roll of your spine down. And I'm actually going to add one more pose than I said I would, because after the pressure we've had, bringing the chin down into the throat, it's quite nice to do the counter stretch for the neck. So we're going to keep our feet behind our hips and come up onto the forearms. And we're going to slide. So everybody's going to be different. You're going to slide, so you want your elbows to be close underneath you. You keep your legs together. If it feels nice, you can bring the heels together and let the hips fall apart. And then as you're inhaling, you push your chest up and you feel like not just your elbows pressing into the ground, but the whole of the forearm, so elbows to wrist. And then finding length in the neck, reaching, making a big wide circle with the chin towards the ceiling and towards the floor behind you, and then possibly coming to let the top of the head reach towards the floor. I still have a lot of the weight, most of the weight, on my forearms and my elbows. And I did slide my butt up my hands to be able to reach with my head. You can really focus on your throat and neck here. So inhaling, reaching the chest up. Exhaling, softening everything you can soften. This is really good for the thyroid. Like between the shoulder stand and this is called fish pose. Or after contracting and then expanding that area of the body, rushing the blood flow through it. So you stay here for as many breaths as you stayed in the shoulder stand, or traditionally just 5 breaths, whichever works for you. And take a deep inhale to lengthen your spine, and to exhale, just slowly tilt your chin towards your throat and then engage your core and come back to sitting. And we're going to take our Padmasana variation. So either sitting cross-legged, like I think I went through those options in the first video, whichever you can rest. If you need to put a block or a blanket, a book, something underneath your bum to support yourself and let your hips release, then you can do that. So setting it up whichever way you like. I'm going to take an easy pose, well, easy for me. So I'm going to bring my heels towards the front of my hips and line the heels with my hips. And then from here, rolling back so that my sit bones are in contact with the floor. I bring my fingers together, extend you as 3 fingers. The ground. Feeling the mula bandha, the contraction of the pelvic floor at the end of the exhale. And as you inhale, reaching your roots to the ground. So every part of your body That's touching the floor, expanding through it and feeling that by pressing through the floor, you get the energy back to lift yourself and be taller and lighter. So you might inhale, pushing down from the hips into the ground, expanding your contact with the earth. As you exhale, keeping that contact and drawing the energy back deep to the center of your hips. At the very end of it, feeling how you can lift the pelvic floor. And then your breath moves into your lower abdomen. You just notice the shape of the abdomen as you breathe. As the pelvic floor lifts with the exhale, draw the navel a little more towards the spine. And inhale, gently keep it here. Imagine the sap of a tree moving all the way through your trunk, through your branches, into your leaves. Leaves being your skin. So you've got that energy, your heart is aligned with your hips. Feel how the energy moves all the way into your head. And as you're drawing your chin gently down, keeping your head tall, aligned over the center of your heart, center of your chest. Let the energy doesn't escape to the top of your head. It's drawn in and it circulates through your body. So whichever way you feel the flow of your breath, from your head to your hips, along your spine, it changes depending on the mood, the days, the people. Sometimes it flows up with an inhale and down with the exhale. Sometimes it goes the other way around. We might move to the front of the body with the inhale, to the back of the body with the exhale. That's where you play with those options. Let your mind follow your breath. Let it allow you to be aware of all of your body. Moving from the core to the outside, or from the outside to the core. And slowly release your hands. And we're going to inhale, sit taller. Exhale, bring our knees to our chest. Push our hands into the floor and practice our lifting up exercise for as long as we can hold it. So strong engagement of the bandhas here. Aim for 5 breaths. If you can do 5 breaths, aim for 10. Draw your knees to your chest. Lift your feet away from the floor one at a time, or both for one exhale. Find all of your energy. Feel that breath, those bandhas. And exhale. Let yourself come down. Bring your blanket, anything you need. And for today, because I want to focus on self-practice, I'm going to let you take Shavasana on your own. So you want to find a place where you can rest all of your body on the ground. And it's hard. Shavasana is one of the hardest parts of the practice. Now, today the class has been interrupted. My own flow wasn't, as flowy as I wanted it. So see if you can forgive me, forgive life, and still give yourself this time to lie down and use any of the techniques that I bring into, all the relaxation classes that I've given you before. And it could be just keeping account of your breath, so that you might move to the parts of your body, you might move to the feelings of your breath. Try and stay down for at least 25 breaths, or until you feel that your heart rate has slowed down. Your breath is becoming very natural. You're on the verge of falling asleep, but you're not. As a matter of interest, just right now, before you completely settle down, look what time it is. Take your full Shavasana, and when you wake up, tell me how many minutes you lasted in Shavasana. Remember to be good to yourself. Concentrate on positive feelings. So anything that, didn't feel quite right, try and just, be aware of, or be glad that you're aware that it didn't feel right, that you will try and address that in a future practice, and bring your mind back to something that feels right. Maybe just the feeling of your breath, the comfort of the pose. Okay. Thank you for following. Sorry about the internet problems and computer problems, and we'll see you again soon. Namaste.